Hey, Star Wars fans and Rule of the Galaxy fans. It is Joe in the pilot seat. Welcome back to chapter 124 of the Rule of the Galaxy podcast. We might have a special guest tonight. We might not. We'll find out here in a little bit. But until we do, always follow us at Rule of the Galaxy SW on Twitter, Rule of the Galaxy SW at gmail.com, and just Rule of the Galaxy at Facebook and YouTube. And by the way, you can now go to Etsy. And if you do all caps, Rule the Galaxy, one word, no separation, Rule the Galaxy in all caps. Our merch is up. Our shop is up. The young lady who's handling that, Laura, is doing a great job. And we've already got people posting the sweatshirts and shirts they've been buying. So thank you for that. But feel free to check that out. And before we go to the ICCC in Nashville, we'll have more of that stuff. We might do a giveaway or two to get everybody ramped up before we go down there. So enough of me. I always like to hand it right over to our co-hosts who do a great job here. And we're just going to throw it out there to these two guys. We've had a couple of them fall a little ill tonight that we're going to be with us. So we'll go with this main crew. We're going to start it off with Mr. Brent Dykman. How are you, Brent?
I'm doing good. Always love to escape into a galaxy far, far away. Just talk about what's going on, what's been going on. Just talk the wars, as I guess I'm quoted as saying on a couple other podcasts.
You are.
So, well, at least Sam and Nick on their Clone Wars Chronicles. So
you are correct. Talking the wars, that's what we do, and we love the views that you bring to the show. And you and I were chuckling a little bit beforehand because, in honor of Steve Gloss and in honor of Diff Eyewear, I'm pulling out the Luke Skywalker X-wing sunglasses again tonight. And as I heard you pop on, I just heard chuckling going on. And you know what? To each their own, Brent. Right? I mean, we all got to do our own thing. So.
Hey, styling and profiling. There's nothing better. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you just got to rock the aviators. So what if they're yellow?
They're yellow, white rimmed. I've been told all kinds of things from either porn star to 70s 007 evil villain. You know what? I'll take all of it. Let's just roll with it. So for you watching on YouTube, you can check out these fashionable yellow shades. Somebody, I think Steve Glosson said I looked like I was getting ready to go shoot the place up somewhere, like I was going to the gun range. So
real quick, I want to interject real quick. Have you ever watched The Big Lebowski?
I have not.
You've never seen D-Doc? Do you know where I'm going with this?
Absolutely. I have seen The Big Lebowski.
He looks like Goodman, the John Goodman character, because he's got like there's shooting glasses and he's got like I sure shit don't roll on Shabbos, right?
Yep,
like
yeah.
He's got the look of the
I see where you're coming from.
The John Goodman character when they're going bowling.
I will check this out. I know I've heard plenty of people.
If you look it up, but yeah,
okay.
No, it's an interesting movie. Definitely a cult following, and you kind of got to be into it. It's always fun to go to the bowling alley and drink White Russians.
Okay. You know what? I can see that. I don't have the hair and not the rock hard chin, but the glasses. Yeah,
correct. It's the vibe. It's not like a spitting 100% genetic copy of John Goodman here. Come on now, You're not that big.
Well,
it's just the vibe you're giving off with them.
Yeah. No, hey, well, I'll tell you what, I will give you a quick note. Our special guest, before we hop on to D-Doc here in a second, he had it down in his schedule for a few minutes later than when we started. So he'll be with us here in a minute. It will be the Supreme Emperor from Wikipedia, which we all use Wikipedia all the time, looking things up when we're talking the wars. So he did just message me and he'll be here in a moment. But that's the fun thing about running a podcast is everything's fly by the seat of your pants. Hey, we've got that great guy from the Philly area, D-Doc, on with us. D-Doc, how are you doing? And what did you almost make your kids for dinner tonight?
Yeah, I usually, sometimes when I pick them up from school, I tell them that I'm going to make them gruel for dinner, and they always just yell no. So if you follow me on Twitter, I'm sure you saw that video. But yeah, it always gives me a good chuckle because I don't even think they know what gruel is, but they know it sounds nasty.
Hey, at least it's not dog turd stew, which is what my mom threatened to make for me when I was a kid. Do I know what dog turd stew is? No, but if I ever asked her what was for dinner, she said, I don't know, dog turd stew. All right, so I won't ask what's for dinner today.
I'm not in the restaurant lingo or the diner lingo, but the one that always got me, and pardon my French, I guess, but shit on a shingle. I don't know what that is. That just doesn't sound appealing, and people actually order that. So do you guys know? Have you ever had that?
I've never heard of it.
Egg on a piece of toast. This is what I understand it to be. There might be a little bit of gravy on top of it or something like that, but it's basically the shingles, the toast, and then I think it's the egg and some gravy on top of it.
Okay. I'll take that. And here we are to rule the cafeteria, I guess, tonight. We're all just going around with our favorite recipes. So, D-Doc, anything else going on new with you? I see you've got a lot of stuff. You got the desk set up. You've got your studio going here.
So I actually, my wife actually got me. She was at Five Below getting Valentine's for the kids, and she saw a little mini ring light, and then she actually got me a bigger ring light for Valentine's Day. So I have ring lights now because of my TikTok page. I said I needed a bigger tripod, and she knows the way to my heart. She bought me a ring light. You should have seen the box for it. It had like two girls dancing in front of it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I love it.
Oh, as you can see in my glasses, mine, we bought the box and it had two teenage influencers on it. My daughters were like,
I think we have the same one. Sherry and Addie or something like that. I don't know what it said on it. But I'm happy. I got a new chair. I'm going to be spinning around constantly now. I got my new desk. I've been slowly building down here. So I'm excited.
You know what, Dave? The growth of the podcast comes from the little things. It's the little things, the ring lights, the microphones, the artwork behind Brent, the new desk that you've got, the shades that I'm wearing. We're just adding little touches to the podcast and the YouTube show every time we do it. So
yeah. Brick by brick, just keep building it up, and if you build it, they will come.
I mean, I'm rocking an iPhone with my normal iPod earbuds here, people. Like, we're not talking to you. If you want to do a podcast, you don't need much.
No.
Right? Like, a lot of people think that it needs to be this professional rigmarole and you need to get a switchboard and a Rodecaster and all of those things. Nah, I'm rocking an iPhone with my iPhone headphones.
That's still sophisticated technology, though.
It is.
But most of society has something like that. Like,
this is true.
It could be a Samsung. It doesn't matter. Most of society has an iPhone or a smartphone to which you could start a podcast.
And that's how Joey and I actually had the luxury of him being in a radio studio for his job when we started. But after he did that, we hopped off and we had our iPhones and our AirBuds in, or what, AirPods in. Sorry, I'm 50 years old. I say whatever now. But yeah, it doesn't have to be much. Now, would I like it to be? Sure. Would I like to have some major sound effects going on and lines from the Star Wars movies hopping in while we're talking? Love it. But we'll get there one step at a time. Hey, we're attending our first convention. The sky's the limit from right here. We're selling merchandise. Anything can happen on the Rule of the Galaxy podcast and YouTube channel now. So
can we talk about this ICCCCCCCC thing for a few minutes?
Yeah.
Right. So let's talk about this, because it just keeps getting spicier and spicier, to steal from some of the other people that I hear talking about. I was walking around at my daddy-daughter dance and I start getting my phone blown up because they just made an announcement of another individual that's going to be there to sign autographs or walk around the floor or just be there in general. And I think the quote was, you're going to need smelling salts to make sure that I'm alive. That was a Joeism.
Yeah.
For Mr. Anakin Skywalker in the animated version, Matt Lanter.
Well, you are correct. Between Ian McDermott, Anthony Daniels, James Arnold Taylor, that right there.
That's right. Jets too.
I was ready to go. I was sold and 100% on all three of those before the Matt Lanter announcement. And I'm pretty sure from listening to RFR, Matt Lanter now lives in the Nashville area, so it makes sense for him to be there. But I loved him in the Clone Wars. I thought he was great when he did, as the role of Anakin. I loved him in the show Timeless, which I think got the short shift. It should have gotten a much longer run. It's a great, fun show. It added history and drama and comedy all in one thing. And then that Jupiter's Legacy, people didn't give that thing enough credit. It was a really fun, good show. It was interesting. It was real gritty, and it wasn't as much as The Boys, but it was gritty for a Star Wars or for a superhero show. So yeah, I'll admit I was about ready to drop when I heard the Matt Lanter was coming as well. So yeah.
And so listening to the same podcast, right? The same story, the guy who runs it, he mentioned that there's still a few more, because I feel like he said there's at least 3 to 4 that I think you Star Wars fans will be interested in. That was after he dropped the Anthony Daniels. So then he said James Arnold Taylor and Matt Lanter. There could be another one floating out there from the Star Wars world to try to get hooked up with.
You know what? Before the Supreme Emperor gets here, who would you want to see? Let's make him alive, right? Let's not pull somebody out of the grave to bring him back for it, But out of the regular, the movies, the live action and the animated, who would you want to be there as that next guest or two that would put it over the top for you? Any thoughts? I can think of a couple, but go ahead.
Right off the top of my head, and I'm gonna go back to the prequels just because of my childhood. And I know it's only one movie, but if Liam Neeson was there just to talk about his time with Star Wars, man, obviously Liam Neeson is just like a major star.
Star Wars.
But I mean, just to hear him talk about it, because I've seen interviews with him where he was passionate about his performance as Qui-Gon, and I'm hoping we might get him back in this Obi-Wan series. Who knows?
I like that one. Okay, I can go with Liam Neeson. I think, and it would bring a lot of other people in too. I mean, Taken and other things. So, Brent, how about you?
I'm still trying to think, and so I'm also, how I look at it. I look at it as the off-the-wall world as well. So I'm trying to think of somebody that's like an oddball that would be kind of the oddball, but I do want to. I don't know if it would draw people, but somebody from the sequel trilogy, just to see if there would be somebody to pull somebody in from there, like Daisy Ridley or John Boyega.
I think it would tear it up. I would think people. I
think people would love to see him, but again, I know that he's kind of in a love-hate relationship with Star Wars based upon some of the stuff he said in media. So because I also, again, I feel a little more affinity for them. I would love to also see, honestly, I would love to see, and I can't think of his name right now off the top of my head, Wicket.
Warwick Davis.
Warwick Davis. I would love to see Warwick Davis there too, just because of all of his other stuff, man. Willow, the new show they're doing with Willow, because I know they're filming it because they put that out on Disney Plus Day. But I would love just his history of being in movies.
Yes,
is fantastic.
Yeah, I agree.
I emailed him a while ago to be on our show, so I'm still waiting to hear back from him. If you're listening out there, Warwick.
I tell you what, to go along with Warwick, one that I'll throw in that's not Star Wars related, I would like to have Val Kilmer, because he has a cult following, and now after his documentary he did, I think he would be good, and he was in Willow. So, he would make a good person to be in there. And then
the only thing that would keep me away is because of his throat cancer. And I don't know if he would want to be seen in public or doing a lot of public appearances with that.
Did you watch his documentary?
I haven't watched it, but basically,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember you talking about it.
Yeah. So I would take that, but Ashley Eckstein,
yes,
obviously Mark Hamill, obviously Harrison Ford, reach for the stars kind of thing, but Samantha Marshall, Freddie Prinze Jr. I would think I would take any of those guys to be at the ICCC as well. So that was a good one, Brent. I like you brought that up. Hey, we have if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see our guest. But for you listening, we have the Supreme Emperor from Wikipedia on Rule the Galaxy. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good, thanks. I'm doing pretty good, thanks. How are you all doing?
We're doing great.
Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you. So on our little name tags there, it says Nick for me, but I'm Joe. And then the gentleman with the white beard is Brent, and the other gentleman with the red hair is D-Doc. So Joe, D-Doc, and Brent right there. So as we get going, you'll just see us raising our hand and pointing and talking. So great to meet you. Thanks for coming on. And we appreciate you taking the time, but there's probably 20 questions that I'd love to answer or ask you. So if you have a few moments here, just throw out here a little introduction of yourself and what got you going with Wikipedia and maybe some love and passion for Star Wars that got you going and things like that.
Sounds good. Let's dive into it.
Yeah.
So I'm Supreme Emperor. I'm one of the administrators on Wikipedia. I've been there since approximately 2011 when I started editing, but I've been reading on the site since probably 2008. I personally got into Star Wars through Heir to the Empire, the novel by Timothy Zahn. Picked it up at a used bookstore back in the mid-2000s, and the rest is history from there. It's like a rabbit hole. Once you dive in, you don't come back.
You are correct.
Well, that's how I got started there, and I've just been editing ever since.
You got it. You guys have, 80, 90,000 followers on Twitter. That's a huge number for Wikipedia. When it comes to the site, like, how big is the site? How much traffic do you get through there? How many people are visiting there every day? Because I know I look something up all the time to prepare for the show or to talk to these guys about Star Wars, and we talk every day. So do you have numbers like that? Like how big and how busy is that site?
Well, yeah, I do have some vague numbers. And on an average day where we don't have, let's say, like a new Book of Boba Fett episode, because that'll obviously spike traffic, but you're looking easily upwards of 250,000 views per day. And that's just for main articles. That's not counting like discussions, posts, or anything like that.
Holy cow.
And as you noted, Twitter, we've just cracked 80-some-odd thousand people. And that's up from about 33,000 last June.
Wow. Okay. So obviously you're Supreme Emperor, so I don't know if you're running the show there or not, if there's a Platinum Emperor above the Supreme Emperor or anything like that. But so how many individuals are involved with Wikipedia and keeping that thing running?
So in terms of our administration team, there's like approximately 10 of us. Okay. And we're just normal users. We just have access to, a couple more shiny buttons. But in terms of actual like editors, obviously it's all volunteer based. So people come in, they leave as they see fit. But on an average day, we probably have 50 plus editors. And that'll obviously spike around major releases. It'll spike on holidays. It'll dwindle a little bit during, let's say, times when people will be in school or those sorts of things. But on an average day, probably 50 to 75 users.
Gotcha. Brent or D-Doc, any quick questions from you guys on all this?
So what is, two questions kind of related to each other. What is your area of expertise for Wikipedia? And then what do you consider to be your favorite trilogy or in the visual? I'm more of a visual guy. I don't get into the deep history, into the lower into the books. But so is there an area that you focus on and or would you consider yourself an expert in this area? And then what would you consider to be your favorite Star Wars movie, visual, cartoon, animated show, all of that stuff?
I'd say in terms of actual like writing content, I trend to dive more into the early novels, so things like Legends Expanded Universe. That's just always kind of been my personal focus. But recently I've been doing a lot of experimenting with group editing sessions where we've been working on keeping stuff updated from the Book of Boba Fett or from new releases, things that are just kind of getting high traffic.
Gotcha. And like Brent said, do you have a favorite? So the books, I'm guessing before any kind of the visual stuff, but do you have a favorite set of the visual part of Star Wars, the TV movie kind of setup?
I would have to go with Revenge of the Sith. It was the first movie that I actually saw in theaters back in, that's been a lot of years now, but I would have to go Revenge of the Sith just because it was the first one I've seen in theaters. Just kind of got a lot of special memories from that.
Good. Yeah, that's great. D-Doc, how about you?
See, I was gonna say Wikipedia is great for the Star Wars fan like me because there is so much stuff, Star Wars is so deep and there's so many layers to it. And it's like I feel like I know Star Wars and then I'll hear something I don't know about and then I'm just like I need to look into that, and Wikipedia is immediately where you go because you know that the answer is there. So it's definitely been a great tool for me because sometimes I get lost in the visuals where I might not be paying attention to every single thing, as we learned on last week's episode. But
Bothans.
Yes, I didn't know what the hell they were. Yeah, and yep. But Wikipedia was there for me, so I'll more so say thank you, even for the stuff you guys do, because it just helps you learn deeper into Star Wars and how much love these guys really do put into the storytelling.
Oh, it's our pleasure. And we thoroughly enjoy everything we do. And since it's all volunteer based, anyone is welcome. You're all welcome to join as well if you'd like. Same with anyone who's listening to us. Awesome. We always love to meet new people, and we love to help get new people started on site.
Do you feel that more people use Wikipedia to look up the minutia or the old legends type books, things like that? Or do you think, like you said, Book of Boba Fett comes out and it's bam, everybody's hitting the site to go hit that? Or do you think a lot of people are like, oh, well, I know the movies, I know the main storyline, I need to know the things that DDoc's like, hey, I need to go look up this little thing over here or that over there? Do you find more of that weighs out more than the other?
Well, I don't have access to deeper analytics like that, much as I wish I did. So I would say it's probably a combination of both. You get the people who are looking for, say, the deeper thing that they read on a page in a novel. But obviously around any sort of major releases, we'll see traffic spike for like Boba Fett or Chrysanthemum or those sorts of things, Cad Bane.
Gotcha. Okay. Go ahead, Brent.
So what book in the EU? So what book in the EU pulled you in? So you said Heir to the Empire is what kind of got you started in the books, but like which one do you go back to often? Which one do you find yourself rereading? What's your pull back into, or character too? Like what is your favorite character from the EU?
I'd have to go with Thrawn. Just because Heir to the Empire really dragged me in. Between that and the old Jedi Academy trilogy, they just kind of hooked me, and I never looked back. And it's just been all rabbit hole since then.
And are you reading the new Thrawn stuff as well, since Thrawn is your favorite character, or are you still staying to the EU?
No, I try to stay up to date on all the new canon stuff as well, but I am significantly behind because there's just never enough time.
No. We were just talking about it beforehand. I have enjoyed the new High Republic books. I mean, I'm not like, wow, I cannot wait, or that's my favorite part of it. But of course, like being a kid that grew up with the original trilogy, this is something brand new, and but I'm excited because they're actually finally going to come out with the book that is the guide to the High Republic. Because for me, it's been just, I'm reading them like, oh man, I wish I had a better place to just look this right next to me. And I could use Wikipedia, but since I'm not usually sitting in front of my computer or have my phone with me while I'm reading, or whatever, or while I'm listening to it on my audiobooks. But have you seen a lot of interest in the High Republic since that has been coming out?
There's definitely been a significant amount of interest in it. Obviously, not everyone's going to enjoy the new canon novels, but there's definitely been a significant amount of interest among our editor base as well. There's a lot of people that gravitate towards that. And even the authors themselves, they've just been so open and inviting to people asking questions, learning a bit more behind the scenes, or even just, coming in just for a little quick, hey, how's it going?
Nice. Yeah, obviously you're not, at least I don't think, you're not any direct affiliation with Lucasfilm or Star Wars or Disney, correct? There's no, it's just more of a, hey, we support you by doing this in a volunteer basis. You do your thing there. There's no, like, where they're contractually, these writers have to come to you or anything like that, correct?
No, nothing like that. We're just volunteer fans. A lot of authors and writers and creators do use our site as a reference, which we absolutely love. We absolutely love hearing that, say like Alyssa Wong, the writer of the new After series, will tell us that, I used a couple pages on Wikipedia. And it's like,
That's great.
No, but nothing official. More of a, you guys are a good resource. We'll link to you on StarWars.com. But nothing that's official beyond that.
Okay. D-Doc, Brent, another question or anything right off the top of your head? I tell you what, I wish Alfie was here. I will say this. I wish Alfie was here. He's not feeling well tonight. But he and I grew up together and we're cousins and spent a lot of time reading Star Wars books, watching Star Wars as kids. And when Thrawn came out, actually, so you're mentioning Thrawn and the Heir to the Empire trilogy, he and I actually took notebooks and we started going through the old Brian Daley Han Solo legacy and the Lando Calrissian legacy or trilogy, and we actually started writing on notebooks with topics just like Wikipedia does. We had notebooks of, okay, this character was in this book, let's write down what page he was on, what he did. And we had that for a number of years, and I don't know what's happened to it, but I know he and I talked about, wouldn't this be great if we could do something with this? And to see where you guys have taken something like this is just awesome because, early 90s, that was a dream, a pipe dream. It wasn't even an internet that time, I don't think. So anyway, that's just me rambling. Go ahead, Brent.
So you've made a couple of statements, and this is my ignorance of Wikipedia. I've only used it as basically straight up Wikipedia, but you made reference that is there like forums? Is there like chats? Is there other aspects of Wikipedia that I'm not aware of?
So there is
that as a user could get involved in. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so there is a few other aspects to it. There's obviously the encyclopedic side, which is just anything that's article and content related. We have a discussion side as well, which is a series of forums where anyone can join and just chat about Star Wars. And we have our Discord server as well, which is largely editing related, but it does have a couple of channels just for some general chat.
Good to know.
Yeah, I just brought up the page. There's 173,000 pages, 110,000 photos, and 80,000 discussions going on. So people like Star Wars.
Wow. Yeah, and we joke around because none of us are experts. Brent, myself, D-Doc, well, Alfie might be the closest one, followed by Nick over all of us, but they're not here tonight. They're what we consider our Wikipedia, but we all use you, so it's great, and we love to have people listen to our show that they want to hear us talk Star Wars, but they don't. We can't be experts. We're just fans like them and fans like you. To see the work that you guys put into this is amazing, because I know for us just to do an hour and a half podcast every week, you start going, holy cow, there's a lot to go along with this, right? So now when you said you got involved in 2011, was that when Wikipedia started, or was it started before then?
No, so the site itself was started around 2005, and that originally spawned out of Wikipedia. People used to go on Wikipedia and they would start creating these deep dive articles into the expanded universe, into extreme amounts of detail, the levels of detail that we cover.
Yeah.
But it was determined that these didn't fall within the scope of Wikipedia itself. So from that, a new idea spawned, which was the creation of a Wikia, which is now transitioned into fandom, but the creation of a new site that would cover just Star Wars and the ever-expanding universe around that.
Wow. That's awesome. 2005. And you got involved in 2011. I mean, think about that. You've been with them for over a decade now. I mean, how does that feel? How many articles have you written in that decade?
That is a very good question. I would say the last couple of years, my work has been more related to reviewing and things like that, just because of a lack of time. And obviously, I do our Twitter account and our YouTube account as well, so those do take up a significant amount of time. But yeah, it's been a very long time. It's been a very, very fun journey.
Yeah, that's good. D-Doc or Brent, anything? You don't have to have questions. I'm just throwing it out there because I don't want to be just steamrolling the whole thing here.
No, they come to me as I'm, as we're talking. But I will say too, like for those watching on YouTube, it's nice that you guys have for trending articles, like right when you get on, they have like a lot of the modern storylines that are happening right now where you know, they have the Darksaber sitting right there as one of your main articles you can click on. So it's like, if you don't know what the Darksaber is, you can click on that, and there's a whole hell of a lot on it on here where you can learn a lot about it. Where, you know, I have friends who, you know, enjoy the new Star Wars stuff where, you know, they didn't even know who Cad Bane was when he showed up. But it's like, you know, some of that stuff, it's like, hey, here's the Darksaber on Wikipedia. This is the history of it. And you're like, damn, that's not just a cool sword that Mando has. There's a lot behind it.
Right.
And I just double checked a couple of our analytics here. So since Book of Boba Fett, we've actually been averaging over 750,000 page views per day.
Wow.
And that's like the numbers that have come out for the, I mean, I'm sure that probably was something you had written down, Joe, but what was it? 25 or 26% more viewers on the finale of Book of Boba Fett than Mando season 2. So, I mean, people are, you know, I know we all may have our opinions on Book of Boba Fett, but, you know, it's brought in some more viewers, and, you know, I think we might have some new Star Wars fans jumping on board right now, which is pretty cool.
Agreed. Speaking of that, I mean, let's jump in, give everybody a couple minutes just to review. And now the series is over. Book of Boba Fett, you know, it had its high points, its low points. It had its questionable points, like the lizard going up his nose and things like that. But I really enjoyed it. You know, I thought it brought some new fun characters in. I thought we've got some depth on Boba Fett. Yes, it's completely different than a guy who grew up and watched Empire and Jedi, you know, in 80 and 83. How I looked at Boba Fett, but I'm okay with it. I mean, I don't think anything had to be set in stone on that character. So overall, I really liked it. I think it was interesting. They mixed in 2 whole basically shows just of the Mandalorian in the middle of it. But our buddy Mark Newbold at StarWars.com said, consider this Mandalorian 2.5. And it kind of turned out to be that. So, but I enjoyed it, and it's got me looking forward to new things in the future. Brent, how about you? Overall review of the series.
So before I get into an overall review, I'm gonna ask: do you think it would be better do you like it as an episodic release, or do you think it would be better as a dump? By that mean the Netflix style dump the whole season at one time.
I 100% prefer the episodic because it's you get to look forward to that next thing, and you talk about it for a week as the next one's coming. That's just my opinion. Now, something that like dropping the old Ewoks and Droids cartoons, dropping the old Ewoks movies, dump those right in. Let people go binge through and check all that stuff out. But new content, I'm perfectly okay with it being episodic.
I have to go with episodic as well, and that's for twofold reasons. First reason being, it's a lot to take in all at once, and the second reason being, we need time to try to get caught up each week. We had one hell of a time just trying to keep some of the main articles updated every single week. Not to mention our favorite unidentified Twi'lek Major Domo.
Yes,
I mean, like that's
by far our favorite.
Okay.
And with all of the rabbit and the way that Filoni and Favreau like to throw in and the nods to the EU, I can see why you get so much traffic, because everybody wants to go frame by frame with that to see what did I miss? Like what Easter egg did they throw in? Have I seen that little rabbit rat catching droid before? Or have I seen the chef that looks like Grievous chopping? Or like, you know what I mean? Like they're going to look for those rabbit hole things because the way that Filoni and Favreau have been building the Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett at this point, the creators of the Star Wars TV stuff, they've done a fantastic job of weaving those little nuggets in there. And I miss a half of them because I'm not deep into the lore, deep into the books. So I feel like I miss half of them. But it drives people to Wikipedia. The reason why I say ask the question is I would say episodic as well, but it's also getting tiresome listening to the hardcore fan nitpick. Like I want to just like there are good conversations, but then the way I guess they're presented in the social media world and the nitpicking that happens is getting very tiresome. So there's a part of me that almost wants it to be dropped as a dump. But I love the fact that it is episodic because you have the ability to have the conversation with the coworker. Have you seen it? Where are you at? Like you have that water cooler talk as opposed to like with Stranger Things, you're like, oh, where are you at in it? I can't talk to you now because something's coming up, or whatever is on Netflix, or like you don't want to spoil it because you don't remember what order it happened in because you've watched the whole thing, so you don't want to spoil it for everybody else. So then you end up not even talking about it because you don't want to spoil it for that other person. So I like the episodic version, but it's just like I feel like it's also being. And it's just me buying in and reading all of those stories as well, right? That's me looking at the social media and looking at the dumpster fire that can be Twitter. And I just got to pull myself away from that.
Alfie
and
thrives
stop
on
reading
that.
it.
Alfie thrives. He wants to set the world on fire with those conversations.
And there are a lot of other people that want to set the world on fire too, or they want to have that hot take that becomes the discussion thread. They want to be the starter of that discussion thread that has 10,000 comments, or they want to and it seems like as opposed to just enjoying what you're watching or having a real honest conversation. I know I'm going on a diatribe, but there was a comment that was like, why did Ahsoka tell Grogu or tell Mando to take Grogu to the Rock if she was already in conversation with Luke? Right? That was a question that was posed. But it's, how do you know that she was already in conversation with Luke? How do you know that they already talked to each other? You don't know the timelines. There's nothing that says this timeline or that timeline. So some people in their headcanon just can't get out of their own headcanon and think that because this looks this way. Or another one is, well, how come Omega didn't show up? Because Omega's his brother, or Omega's a brother to Boba, sister, whatever. They're related.
Yeah.
Well, we know that, but no one else in the show has been exposed to Omega, to our knowledge. So no one else knows who Omega is. So why would Omega show up? So there's just some of those things that just kind of get bogged in my head.
That's the joy of the internet, man. People just like to go. It's like
one of the things that I really try to push with our Twitter, and even just social media in general, is trying to get those positive conversations going. I'm sure you've all noticed that every week I would post a tweet without spoilers. What did you think of the episode? And generally, it led to people having a lot more positive discussions about it, as opposed to here's what I didn't like. It's here's what I did like.
So
it's funny you said
my
that.
Overall reaction.
Go ahead.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying I went off on my diatribe and whatever. So, but my overall reaction to Boba was I would call it like a 7 or 8. I think I put out there somewhere on social media. It wasn't on a major post or tweet, but it was. I would say that I liked it more than the Bad Batch, but not as much as I like the movies and anything else, or than Mandalorian. So the movies of Mandalorian are definitely better than this Book of Boba Fett, but I enjoyed Boba Fett more than I did the Bad Batch season 1. But I still watch them all. I mean, but that's where I'd put it. I'd put it in like about a 7 category. It was a fun ride. I enjoyed the last episode. Seeing the Rancor come up over the top of the mountain, or the houses, was awesome. And then watching him do the 100% King Kong climbing up the tower. Somebody put on social media a picture of like biplanes flying around him, and it looked. I mean, that was what it was going for. It was 100%. King Kong. Yeah. So those are things that like I enjoyed. I wish it would have been more Godfather. I don't think I got enough Godfather that I wanted. But it was fun. Like it was fun. And I'll end by saying I just wish people would die and stay dead. And stay dead.
I think you mean Star Wars people would die, not
characters. I just wish I just wish characters could have an end and not have to be talked about incessantly.
I agree.
There's always the question.
D-Doc, how about, I will say this.
Did the female Tusken lady die? Yes. Did Cobb Vanth die? Like, okay, I wish Cobb Vanth would have died. However, I do think somebody on the podcast brought it up. I do think he might be the Rangers of the New Republic. I think they might be trying to work him into that. So now he's gonna have a Winter Soldier arm that he can do with that.
I'll just be happy if we get Paul Sun-Hyung Lee coming in as just an X-Wing pilot again. If we get a whole series around him, I will be happy.
He has been entertaining in a different kind of approach. I like what he does there. So
he's the Canadian actor, right?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Really, he's a really nice guy. We've talked to him a couple of times. He's just great fun to talk to. He has a lot of fun with what he does.
He's another guy who's just a fan of Star Wars, similar to Ming-Na Wen, right? Like he's already just a big fan even before getting on the show. So I do enjoy to see that they're bringing guys in who are passionate about it.
That's the cool thing, especially with a lot of the content nowadays, is it's not like the old days where nobody had heard of Star Wars because it didn't exist, 20 years before. Now the people that are creating Star Wars, that are acting in Star Wars, that are writing it and illustrating it, these are people who grew up with the original trilogy. These are people who grew up as lifelong fans, and now they get to help shape that next generation of it.
Yeah, it's very awesome. Did you, Supreme Emperor, did you have an overall feel? Like, was it something you enjoyed, Book of Boba Fett? Did you find it lacking? Did you find, hey, I enjoyed it, and I can move on to the next thing?
Loved every bit of it.
Good.
Like I said before, it's led to us trying a couple new projects on site, like us working collectively on an article on like a Google Doc, just to try and really get ahead of that content, so that people coming in don't just see an empty article about, say, that Major Domo.
Mm-hmm.
We want them to come in and see, okay, well, here's an exact article of this is his history, here's how he appeared, here's how he was portrayed, here's his personality. And it really gave us a chance to try and experiment with a lot of those new ideas.
That's awesome. No, that's good. That's good stuff. So Brent, you brought it up, and one of the things that I had written down before this show is, why do Star Wars fans always like to complain first and then talk about stuff later? And I think you've already hit on it, and I'll let D-Doc and Supreme Emperor discuss it. But you're right, because one of the goals of our podcast is let's just have fun. If we're going to complain real quick and move on. Let's just go have fun with it, right? I mean, we're here for that reason, to be entertained, and Star Wars is a fun thing that's a part of our lives. So D-Doc, go ahead.
Yeah, it's almost like if you look at it in terms of like football, it's like you're a Steelers fan and I'm an Eagles fan, but we both like football. It's like, I honestly, when it comes to even the sequels, I know they're very polarizing when it comes to arguments, and I know I might have some stuff that I like or dislike about them, but at the same time, if someone loves it, why am I going to spend my time to convince them why they shouldn't like it? There's no reason for it. And to me, it's like the people are trying to project their opinion onto somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I could have my opinion and maybe have a disagreement or whatever, but it's like we still both love Star Wars, maybe some things didn't pan out, as Brent says, in your headcanon. We all have headcanon when it comes to Star Wars. You can't help it. You have your own image of how you picture things happening, or how, because we all have our own relationships with these characters. So over time you build these relationships and you feel like, oh, well, I don't know if Luke would have done that or whatever. But at the same time, this is what they've given us, and, just let people enjoy what they want to enjoy,
Yep.
And as you said, at the end of the day, you might like something different than I do. I might like something different than you do. And that's fine. At the core of it, we both love Star Wars.
Exactly.
I'll bring it up all the time. I love the Marvel comics from 77 through 85. Some of them are as corny as can be and weird as can be. But man, being that it was such a big part of my life, that was the only way you could keep in touch with Star Wars really a lot in that time frame. It just meant that much to me. So I still have all of them right over here, and it means something to me. Other people would be like, is it canon? I'm not really going to dive into that. I'm not worried about it. Sorry. Go ahead, Brent.
To keep that sports analogy going, yes, we're all football fans, but I have never understood, and this is just who I am. I'm very much a conservative fan. Like, I'm not a homer. I will call it the way that I see it. Like, if my team committed a penalty, they should have been flagged for the penalty. I've never understood the people that are like overly critical of their own team. And I guess that's what the problem herein lies. The problem is because I kind of try to stay pretty mellow and even keel in my fandom. For many years, most people would not know that I'm an Atlanta Falcon fan because growing up as a kid, I couldn't really watch them because I didn't have cable because I lived in the Midwest. And when they it was my coming out of the closet moment when they finally made it to the Super Bowl and got their tail handed to them by John Elway. But like that, like I'm a Falcon fan, but I'm also like, I'm not going to be like a in your face Falcon fan. And I'm also not going to be like the world's ending because my team lost and I'm going to go mope in my corner fan. Like I try to stay even keel on it. And I guess that's what I hope everybody else does. And that's me projecting the way that I am onto somebody else. And I need to stop, but
I'm guilty of doing that though.
Yeah.
I live and die by it.
Hey, so I'll try to get us in some other ones since we're probably ripping on ourselves about the complaining here. I'll just go through these quick and you guys shoot me your answers here. Is Cad Bane dead?
See, that's what I'm talking about.
I mean, just fun. I don't care. Personally, I'll say this. I hope he's dead because
really
I enjoyed all of him in the Clone Wars and during that time frame, but he's had a good long run. Yeah. It's time to bring me another new character. I'm okay with him being dead.
Okay. So there's two things. One, yes, he's had a good long run, but how many of the general public realize how long his run is?
They need to go back and watch Clone Wars.
Well, that's true. They need to go back and watch the Clone Wars, true. But like how many people, like you said, 38% viewers picked up on this other than Mandalorian. So there are brand new people into this world and they're going to look at this guy and be like, who's this guy? Now, yes, they could go back, but he was so freaking cool.
Yeah.
And now he's gone. He's Boba. He's Boba from the original trilogy. He was on for probably had more words than Boba Fett did in the original trilogy.
Much.
But he was on for maybe about 20 minutes total on both shows. But he was freaking cool.
He is cool. I do love the character.
So I'm torn, right? So should they bring him back in live action? Yeah, because I think it'd be cool for the new people that just found him. At the same time, I want people to die. I want them to have a life cycle. I want them to. If you actually do something that makes you look like you get killed, you should stay dead.
Right. Mass will tell you Darth Maul. Now, hey, I'll throw this caveat out there before D-Doc or Supreme Emperor answers, but I could see him fitting into the Kenobi series in live action. I could see. I mean, it makes sense time wise. He could be helping the Empire at that time. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. Supreme Emperor or D-Doc, do you want Cad Bane dead or alive?
Well, if we're going by official standpoint, yes, he is dead. From everything we understand. Personally, I'm okay with that because, as you said, he's had a good run. And part of this series was bringing Boba Fett into, I guess, what I'll dub his next series. He's not the bounty hunter anymore. He's not the guy working for money. He's learning who he really is in the galaxy and what he is beyond, a bounty hunter in his father's shadow. So for them to kill off Cad Bane, who obviously we know that he had a history with as a child, it's pushing him out of that bounty hunting phase and into the next phase of his life.
I like it. D-Doc.
And even with more symbolism, the fact that if he did kill him, it was with the Tusken Raider, staff, which, that helped him, as Emperor was saying, enter into this new phase of his life. So it would be fitting. I mean, I would love to see him in more live action, but I had the same thought right when he stabbed him. My mind goes, is he really dead? But it looked like he stabbed him pretty good. So I'll say he's dead.
But there was a beeping. There was like a beeping, and there was like a sound of a I don't know, like a life support system.
Yeah.
But I mean, God, just hearing. I guess it's Corey Burton, and I didn't know who that was. I wasn't, but just hearing him is so awesome. And like I said, they're going to people that only watch The Mandalorian that haven't watched it, and they're like, I want to know more about this guy. So you might pull more people in, like just because your friend, like you said, D-Doc, never heard of him before, saw him, and is like, who is this dude? He's terrifying and amazing. There's going to be more people like that. So I'm torn. Like I said, my official stance is, I hope he is dead. But
all right. So I think we all have a different series who we're most looking forward to coming up. I am looking forward to the Kenobi series, Brent, Andor. D-Doc, were you Kenobi as well? I forget.
I'm on board with Kenobi. Yeah,
okay.
I can't wait for Kenobi.
Supreme Emperor, is there one that you're looking forward to the most, or do you see the most potential for in the upcoming series for Star Wars?
Personally, it's gonna be a tie between Kenobi, because I'm hoping we get something similar to like the old John Jackson Miller Kenobi novel, but also Mando season 3, just because now we've seen what's happening in the interlude. We've seen how Grogu has come full circle from Mando to Jedi back to Mando again, and they've just got this incredible new cast that they can bring in to help supplement his character. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with that and how they're going to incorporate these Book of Boba Fett characters into a larger series.
Okay.
Brent, don't you think the Book of Boba Fett kind of gave us a little bit of that Tusken John Jackson Miller inside it? Yeah. Like, so it was kind of almost bringing that John Jackson Miller version of the Tuskens, or at least, because that's what I took away from the book, was that it was kind of humanizing and giving you an insight into the culture and the matriarchal nature and how they did things and how they orchestrated things. So I feel like Boba might have given us some of that Tusken Raider John Jackson Miller. So I'm not sure if they're going to continue with that idea or if they're going to do something different with the Kenobi.
I picked up a lot of those kind of little hints back to the old novels. So it was really cool to see them on the big screen being in a more human fashion, other than the Raiders we saw in Attack of the Clones.
Correct.
So I will throw this one out there because Brent and I were laughing about it before the show, and I'm sure there's going to be different people looking at it in a different way, but I'd like to get everybody's opinion here. We've had many discussions on the Galactic Star Cruiser at Disney. I read pretty much everything that comes out. I always try to read everything new, novels, young adult novels. I can't keep up with the comics as much as I used to, but seeing that there's going to be a book coming out that is Han and Leia on a honeymoon on the Galactic Star Cruiser after Return of the Jedi, where do you guys stand on that? Is it too cross promotional? Is it the right move? I mean, what are you guys' thoughts on it? I'm just kind of want to hear what everybody has to say, I guess. Any thoughts? Go ahead, D-Doc.
Just a quick point is like, obviously, yeah, it is pretty cross promotional. But if you really are trying to sell the Star Cruiser, I mean, it's like, do you really need to do it through a book, like, or do you want to throw it into a show or something like that? Like, I don't know. I don't know that it's going to catch a lot of the people who are going to be going there, because there's a lot of people who just want to say that they stayed there, But I do think I thought it was pretty weird when I read that article. I don't know. Kind of rubbed me a little bit the wrong way. It doesn't. I just can't picture Han and Leia just being like, let's go on our honeymoon together after everything that happened. But yeah, I don't know.
Okay. The Supreme Emperor, any thoughts from you on that?
I'm excited to see how they're going to do it. I'm wondering if they're going to throw in some allusions to the courtship of Princess Leia and kind of their early. I'm interested. I'm wondering if they're going to kind of not so much pull in some of those elements, but maybe bring in some of those concepts into their relationship. I think it's cool how they're doing a lot more kind of in-depth material about it, similar to what they did with Batu. So I'm excited. I'm excited for it.
Okay. Well, I know they're doing a comic series, right?
Yeah, and even if none of us can actually afford to go to it, I'm still excited for it.
Let's not kid ourselves. We've all talked about it. We joke around a little bit about Galactic Star Cruiser, but Brent and I have been to Galaxy's Edge, and if we had the money, we probably would go to the Galactic Star Cruiser. It's just right now, it's just a little over the top of the budget. So
I can tell you what it would be like to have a group of Wikipedians there. We would just be going down hallways with notebooks and tablets, detailing every little thing.
Oh,
while everyone is bottlenecked behind us trying to get down the hallway. That's exactly what would happen.
I just want to know, and I'm gonna steal this from a Twitter follower. If it's gonna be the honeymoon, are we gonna know where Ben was conceived? Are we gonna know? Is it on the bridge, or is it Is it in the lightsaber training facility? Is there a special room, the Han and Leia suite? Is it like the presidential suite, but the Han and Leia suite? Are we gonna? Is that where Ben was conceived?
I actually think that's a good plan. I mean, honestly, if I was promoting the Galactic Star Cruiser, I would create a Han and Leia suite. I just would. I mean, I would think people would say, if I'm going to pay a little bit extra, I want that one, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, if they're going to go down this hole, I would say just go ahead and go all in on it.
I don't know.
Okay. All right. No.
I don't know. Like, seriously, I don't know. Like, they've missed marketing on this thing like nobody's business. I feel there has been nothing but a terrible marketing plan for this thing, because it was really cool when I first heard about it like 3 or 4 years ago. When they were building it, they had the idea. They're like, okay, and it's going to be like role playing, and then they show some of the videos, and I get why they did the Goldbergs, because like that kid from the Goldberg is nothing but a Star Wars fan.
Yep.
And about every 5 episodes they work him saying something about Star Wars, so that makes sense. But I'm not a huge follower of that show, so like, and if you don't watch the show and you don't know his character, he comes off as straight cheese in that video, and it was just bad.
All right, we'll stop bashing the Star Cruiser. We'll stop doing that. The other day was Valentine's Day, and I hope you all had a significant other to partake in Valentine's Day with, and for our listeners, I hope you all had someone to share Valentine's Day with. Looking at the love stories in Star Wars, is there a favorite couple? Is there a favorite romance you think, that right there, that's Star Wars in a romance in a nutshell right there? Do any of you have a favorite one? Brent, I'll go ahead and start.
I do have the joke one that I'll save to the end, and I think I might steal one of yours. Kanan and Hera.
Love that one.
Had a pretty strong connection in the Rebels. They were kind of mom and dad for the rest of the Rebel gang. They had a no nonsense way about them. They could put each other in their place, but you could definitely tell that there was a care and that there was a love that was keeping them together. And they both had a common purpose, right? They were fighting the rebellion, so there was a common purpose and a common drive. But I think those two it was a really cool love story throughout the 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then especially in the way that it ended, and him using all of his force powers to protect the rest of them, and then obviously succumbing because it was a blast. So I think that right there, it was a pretty cool love story. So I don't know if I stole one from you. I have another fun one that I'll throw at the end, but
yeah, no, I think you're right. I think that was a great one. Supreme Emperor, do you have a favorite romance kind of couple from the Star Wars universe?
I'm going to go back a little further than that. We're going to go back to things like the Legacy of the Force series. And I got to go Jaina Solo and Jagged Fell.
Oh,
just because it spanned such a long period. It took them so long to actually realize how much they actually cared for each other. But it was just so beautifully done. And it just spanned so many different forms of media.
I really like that book series. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and you got to see the progression of it throughout all of these different series to this final culmination where they end up being the heirs to a new generation.
No, you are correct. That was a great one right there. I didn't even have that one written down. There's so many good things across Star Wars. I put on Twitter the other day, I looked up all the girlfriends Luke had between books, comics, and everything. Wow, they really ran him through the ringer of how many different girls he tried to date, tried to have a relationship with, fell apart, all that. So yeah, but that's a great one right there. And that book series itself right there is one of my favorites from the old days there. D-Doc, how about you?
I'll speak for Nick, and I'll go to the obvious one, which is Anakin and Padme, because Nick said that's what Attack of the Clones was the first time he experienced what true love really was. He said, "This is true love," and I'll give that to Nick. If Nick's listening, I'm sure I'll get a good laugh out of that.
So on the topic of Anakin, I accidentally made Twitter cry at the 1 a.m. on Valentine's Day. And I didn't even do this intentionally. I had set up our tweet feed for a day in advance. And I just found this cool little tidbit on Obi-Wan Kenobi's page on the canon page about how a young Anakin Skywalker, after becoming his apprentice, ended up sleeping kind of in the same room, close to the bed because he was afraid. And I accidentally had that tweet out at 1 a.m. on Valentine's Day. And I think Twitter hated me a little bit.
It was a great tweet. I think I liked it and retweeted it. It was a great one. And you're right. That was good. And lots of emotion right there in that.
I have a lot of fun doing these little graphic designs we've been working on. I've been having a lot of fun with these.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed what you guys have taken this to on this next level here. Brent, you're going to throw the joke in before you hit the joke.
I was good. There was another real one, but I just lost it. So go with your next one. There was another real one.
So I'm going to throw my two. I had one that actually transpired, and one we'll wait and see transpire in future canon. But the in canon one currently is Obi-Wan and Satine, as you know. The non-canon one yet, but I'm hoping someday will be, is Luke and Mara Jade. I think anybody and everybody who was into Star Wars in the 90s and the early 2000s, Luke and Mara Jade was everything we wanted in Star Wars. But then getting really into the Clone Wars like I did and seeing that relationship between Obi-Wan and Satine, man, that was a great couple right there. And just broke your heart at the end of that. So go ahead, Brent.
Okay, so there's a serious one, and I'll follow with my other one that I think T-Bob will like. The serious one, and it comes from Lost Stars. It was Thane Kyrell and Kiana Ree, and I love it. I don't know if it's not quite the love story, but I love the fact that they played off of the fact that they both wanted to be Imperial, then they split off, and that they could recognize each other's flying and fighting from watching them fly, and knew that it was Sienna could watch that pilot and knew that was Thane because they had flown so much together, and then they wouldn't turn each other in. And there was just the whole book, I feel, was very well done because it gave you a side story that was happening within the original trilogy timeline and kind of put people in different spots. So it was like that secondary auxiliary story. But then there was that love story in there too between those two, which I really enjoyed. So that was another serious one. Then our friend T-Bob would love to hear me say that Maz Kanata and Chewie would be a great love story, because could you imagine that relationship?
He does love him some Maz right there. So gosh.
I actually have Maz sitting right next to me right now, my little Lego set. So Chewie isn't.
Is that
Chewie
Maz's
is not
castle?
there. Yes. This is a cool little set actually, because the trees would fall and stuff like that. But my Chewie Lego is in storage. I wanted to have the two of them standing next to each other,
hand in hand. That would be great.
I just need more money so that I can actually buy more Lego.
Don't we all?
I just get into building plastic little kits that are even worse than that.
Yeah. I was going to say Supreme Emperor Brent is into Star Wars Legion. So we think we all have addictions, but he's got himself into, not only does he put them together, paint them, then he goes and does the games with them. And it's fascinating. I don't have the brain power to keep up with him on all that stuff, but it is incredible. And so you talk about detail, you guys could use the cards that come along with them for all the details and the powers and little storylines that go, like people used to put West End Games. I'm sure there's West End Games information in Wikipedia.
Oh, so much.
Yeah. So the Legion's cards alone that come with them have so much detail on them. So
between that and Armada, even just the level of detail in the little figures and ships that they have is just amazing.
Yeah, and X-Wing as well. So the X-Wing's the other one.
That's the dog. Yeah.
So the three main Star Wars tabletop games. But yeah, so I got into Legion. It's a 3-dimensional chess game that just has me that I can play with my Star Wars figures, and it's the strategy and the trying to beat players. Anyways, sorry, it consumes me.
I'm loving the ship designs they've been doing for Armada. I just can't afford them all. So I got the next best thing, and I've got a 3D printer.
There you go.
Good for you. So a couple quick things for you here. Will Wikipedia be showing up? Do they go to a lot of conventions? They go to Star Wars Celebration? Do you guys participate in events like that?
We've been to Celebration in the past. I don't know if we're doing anything formal for this next one. Obviously, with us being in so many different parts of the world, every country has different COVID rules and restrictions. We would certainly love to. I can say that, but we'll see.
Okay. Well, yeah, we could not put it together as a group to get out to Celebration this year. We are going to the ICCC in Nashville, end of April, beginning of May. Down in Nashville, Tennessee. Really looking forward to that. And we were talking about earlier, they're having so many great guests to that we're just beside ourselves thinking how cool that's going to be and be around all that. But I think you guys would make, like you mentioned, going in the past, I don't know how it would make sense for you guys to be there. I'm sure so many people would come up with a million questions and you guys could just grab the answers for them and give them to them there.
That's why, I've been trying to do kind of the next best thing, which is hosting the Twitter space from our Twitter account, little kind of live meet and greets. It's the next best thing to getting to see us in person. Is just hop on a little Twitter call with us. What do you want to ask us?
There you go. We brought it up earlier, and you said you didn't have the money to buy Legos. Join the club. We're all got. Are there things besides the books that you do collect, or is books your thing when it comes to Star Wars?
That's my main thing. It's just kind of the books and comics. I wish I try to get the Lego when I can, just because it just makes such a beautiful display piece. But just that budget.
Yeah. We all have our weaknesses. I've got a little bit of everything except for Legos. That's the one thing I don't jump into.
For me, it's books. If I go into it's not a good idea to send me into a bookstore unsupervised. It will not go well.
Okay.
These guys are all toy collectors. Don't let them fool you. We'll spend about a good half hour each show talking about the lack of Hasbro toys or what Hasbro toys we were able to find. Those the four main guys are pretty hardcore Black Series figure collectors and figure collectors.
We definitely are. We're always on a prowl. Go ahead, D-Doc.
I wasn't until I started listening to you guys. I only collected Lego before, and now it's compounded into vintage collection and Black Series and Lego. But
I see a Mando helmet in the background there.
Yes.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, that was a Christmas
I think he's also
gift.
got the Captain Cardinal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see that at the bottom there.
Yeah,
but now D-Doc, you just need to start getting into Legion because it's kind of the best of both worlds. You get like the figure collecting, but then you get like your model building and your Lego building.
Hey, he's spending money right now.
I'm in the Bondi as well. I don't know. I'm always doing something. My mind's all over the place. So my mind, I'll be like, I'm really into the Bondi models. I'm really into Black Series. I'm back into Lego. And then it just goes full circle on top of all the other stuff I do on my house and everything else. So this mind is always just going every which way.
Bringing up house stuff. Yeah, I know that feeling all too well. The never ending list of things you want to do.
Yeah,
it takes me back to Heath Ledger as the Joker when he says, "Do you think I really have a plan? I'm just what does he say? I'm just a dog chasing cars, basically. Like I'm just going all over the place." And that's kind of how I am. But it all compounds to be a bunch of cool stuff eventually.
I relate to this guy.
Yeah. So I know I will say this. We talked briefly about Book of Boba Fett, but it's nice to have a show to where you don't have to say, okay, let's talk about that. We can talk about a little bit of everything. And that's what we're trying to do here. We've kind of gone shotgun array on topics. Is there anything any of the three of you wanted to hit tonight that we haven't talked about that it's like, oh, this was on my mind, or I read this, or I saw that, or something you're working on, anything like that? Any topics you guys want to hit? Floor is open.
I do have one thing. And it is a small beef with Lego, as we're on the topic, that I never criticize anything Lego does. But this Darksaber, it just bothers me.
Okay. D-Doc, you get a Mandalorian X-Wing with a Baby Grogu co-pilot chair a week after the show, and you're gonna criticize the fact that there's a bad Darksaber. The fact that they even
we're not gonna get these Black series from this Book of Boba Fett series for like 3 years. So, I mean, you're getting the Lego right away.
I just built the little new Asgard set, just a little tiny set. I think it's like 20 or $30, and it's a great little set for that price. But I'm like, I've got all these. I got it sitting right here. You've got all these molded, like stuff on the wall. You got a pan on the wall. You've got all this stuff, and you're telling me Lego just can't mold a little Darksaber? You're just going to put a black peg right on the regular lightsaber? I don't know. Just a little beef. I still love you with all my heart, Lego, but sorry for my little rant. But...
that same kit's gonna have a BD-1 droid too. Come on, man.
I know. It's incredible. But I saw all these people pre-ordering it today. I'm like, money wise, I'm like, I'll wait a little bit.
I go back to my original. I'll just find a 3D print render for it and do that.
Right? So I'm sure somebody will 3D print where you can plug it right into your Lego and it'll be fine.
Someone already has done a 3D rendering of Din Djarin's Naboo N1 Starfighter. I haven't printed yet, but someone's already done a full 3D render for it.
Dude, it's amazing how quickly people come up with stuff. So within the Legion world too, like they came out with Darth Maul, and I told these guys somebody's gonna model him with spider legs. Within a day, somebody had put spider legs on him. Like, I mean, there are people out there that are creative that model, and then there's also the people that will 3D model and 3D print. Black Chrysanthemum came out on the episode. The following Tuesday, I saw an ad for somebody who was selling a 1 3/4 modeled printable Black Chrysanthemum model that was different from the other Wookiees that are out. Like, people who have 3D printers, people who understand how to use those and model those are fantastic at doing them and quick. And if you have a 3D printer, you can print it up.
If you had told child me like 20 years ago, one day you'll be able to print out a Lambda class shuttle in the span of a few hours, I would say you're crazy. But yet here we are.
Oh man!
And it's movable wings, and it's got movable wings on it too.
Some of it snapped a little bit, just because I was still learning how to use the printer. But yeah, like it's hard to see, but like it's very
gorgeous.
I could print that and paint that up so sweet.
Yeah. Right down to even just little lines on the wings. It's just
I see
so
the wings
incredibly detailed.
Yeah.
Wow. YouTube's loving the show tonight. We're getting lots of little toys and tidbits.
So you got a little 3D pencil holder lightsaber. Just the things you can do with 3D technology, 3D printing is just amazing. You can do anything.
I'm gonna jump back a minute to talk about Kenobi versus Andor.
Yeah.
Just for a second. So I just want to jump back. The reason why I'm hesitant with Kenobi, and I've said it before, but Supreme Emperor hasn't heard me, but I'm fearful of the head canon that is going to explode if it doesn't match. I'm fearful of the fans' head canon and the reactions that will come from the fans if that show doesn't match their head canon. And that's what I'm afraid of. And part of it is like Andor. It's probably one of the shows that has the least amount of headcanon in there because it was only one movie and they all died at the end. So no one knows what to expect from that show. So we'll go in with a lot less than lowered expectations. And I think it'll be a better series.
Completely get it. I think most of us are just giddy to see Ewan McGregor put the robes back on. That's all. Yeah. I mean, it's like just give us that taste one more time. Okay, we're good. That's but you're right, Brent. It's going to leave plenty of people complaining, and I'm going to sit back and go, hey, I just got to watch one of my favorite characters get back on the screen again. I'm okay. So
on a personal note, I'm very hopeful it'll give me the chance to maybe try to set up some kind of an interview with Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen. Obviously, we have our YouTube interview series, which we haven't done much with lately, but I would love the chance to sit down and talk shop with them.
100%. I've said all along, one of my favorite interviews, while Ewan's probably my favorite, but I think one of the coolest things would be to have Matt Lanner on one side and Hayden Christensen on the other, and just go back and forth and go, Anakin, just ask him back.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So, I tell you what, we've kept everybody long tonight. I don't like to. I get told by people all the time, keep it an hour show, and then I'm like, I can't, because we're just talking about too much stuff. I'll just go around the room. Any closing thoughts? Anything you guys want to hit on before we go? Anything you want to discuss? I'll start, Brent. I'll start with you and see if there's anything you want to hit before we head off for the evening.
No, I just like to escape, right? Like everybody has stressful lives, and anytime I can put the stressful life on pause for an hour and a half, however it may be, and talk some galaxy far, far away with some people that care about it, and have insight into it. I love doing that. Yeah. So no, I really don't have anything. I don't know. I mean, what do we, D-Doc, you were saying we're going to count down in show weeks. So we're 9 episodes away from, after this episode, we're 9 episodes away from,
ICCC?
The new Kenobi. Well, no, Kenobi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think we are.
Okay.
Will Kenobi have premiered by the time we? Oh my gosh,
No,
it will.
May 25th.
No, it won't. Okay, never mind.
We'll still be giddy. We'll be waiting. D-Doc, how about you?
Yeah, just a second what Brent said. I mean, it is really fun connecting with people. You know, I feel lucky to be doing this. It's great to talk to Supreme Emperor from Wikipedia. I mean, we can just meet someone you feel like just because you interact with them on Twitter, and it was just fun having you on. And also, I'm looking forward to Bad Batch season 2. I'll say that. I haven't given it any love, but I am looking forward to Bad Batch season 2. I think that's going to be pretty good.
Awesome.
So, yeah, those are my closing thoughts.
No, you're good.
I'm glad that Brent brought up the idea of kind of having a little escape into a galaxy far, far away. That's honestly one of the coolest things about being on Wikipedia, is not even beyond the content, it's the community. There's people on there that have been there for over 10 years that I've interacted with on a daily basis. And our community is very much, it's like a family of sorts. We support each other on the bad days. We cheer each other on the good days. But it's just always that family that you come home to every day. It's that we're all right here.
Well, that is awesome. And like these guys have said, we've all checked out the site numerous times for different things. And so we all really appreciate all the work you and your staff do. 2, I think you took it to the next level with doing these things on Twitter like you have, because it really made me get more involved in looking into more things on the site, just with the interaction you're having with people in the Star Wars Twitter world. And what you're doing there is great. Keep that up. And I think everybody enjoys it. I can't thank you enough for the time, because you're busy, and we're all busy with regular lives. So for you to take this time just for guys who are big Star Wars fans, who, we interact with you on Twitter. So, I mean, for you to take the time and come in and be a part of this, we really appreciate it. And we hope that our paths will cross again, whether it's on another show or whether it's at a convention sometime or something like that. So, keep us in mind, because we've just really liked having you on, and appreciate you taking the time. And I know I learned a lot asking those questions of you, of just what you guys all do and what it's all about. So thank you very much for that. So we do appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm happy to do these. If you ever want to do something in the future, I'd be more than happy to. When I took over our Twitter account back in June of last year, one of the things I found very early on that surprised me was just how many people want to know about, beyond Star Wars, our site in general. Like, how do we operate? How did we start? Just the amount of people who wanted to know those details. I was kind of like, wow, people want to know about more than just Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know about the site behind it. And then that just spawned this whole other series of Twitter AMA sessions, podcasts, threads where people can ask, what do you want to know? And it's just been such a blast getting to connect with so many amazing people such as yourselves.
Well, thank you. And we love what you do. We love, tell everybody there that we said thanks, and we'll make sure in the Twitter world tonight, tomorrow, we'll be telling you guys all thanks, because it means a lot to us that there is a place to go to for all those questions that we have that we don't know the answers of. So for me, for Joe in the pilot seat tonight, thank you for everybody listening for chapter 124 of the Rule of the Galaxy podcast. I will be absent next week. I believe Joey is going to join in my place next week with the regular crew, and hopefully Nick and Alfie will be feeling better and we'll be back next week. But always follow us at Rule of the Galaxy SW on Twitter. Email us at ruleofthegalaxysw@gmail.com. Just Rule of the Galaxy on YouTube and Facebook. And like I said, go check out the Etsy page. Just go to Etsy in all caps, Rule of the Galaxy, all one word. See if you want to buy some of our shirts, hats, sweatshirts. Like I said, it feels really cool to see that people actually listen to us and then they actually wear our gear. It's kind of a cool thing. It means a lot to us. And we can't wait to see, hopefully, a bunch of you at the ICCC in Nashville coming up. So thank you again to the Supreme Emperor and the folks at Wikipedia, and Brent and D-Doc. Thank you so much for being here. And until next week, may the Force be with you.